What's up, everyone? So it's been a little while, and there is very good reasons for that. My MacBook decided it was going to crash, and I usually use that as a monitor when recording videos, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to get that fixed, so I decided let's just go ahead and do it. And as you guys can see from the title of this video, we are going to be talking about seasonal depression. Yes, because your girl has been going through it, and I just feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. I know many of you don't know I have a makeup group on Facebook, and I shared this with them that this was something that I was dealing with, and they were like, do a video on it, and I was like, what? But you know, I thought about it, and I was just like, I think it's really time to break the silence on something that seems so taboo. So yeah, I am going to be doing a makeup look. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I did receive a bunch of products from a friend of mine who has a cosmetic line called Shinkah Beauty, and I'm going to be using her eyeshadow palette today. I have all of her lippies here, and they are beautiful. I also have some blush and highlighter palettes and a contour palette, the whole nine. So we're gonna get into that. Here are the colors from the eyeshadow palette. I decided to do something a little bright today because as I just said, I've been feeling really down. Like when the seasons change, I just get, it's just bananas. If you are interested in this topic, then I guess just stay tuned to the video. Yes, we are going to be talking about seasonal depression. So seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD or seasonal depression, is defined as a mood disorder characterized by depression that occurs at the same time every year. Seasonal affective disorder occurs in climates where there is less sunlight at certain times of the year. Now, no secret, I'm a black woman, and oftentimes it is very taboo to speak about depression in my family. Very taboo. I will be leaving a list of products used in the description box because I really just want to dive into this. But it's very, very taboo. I'm a Christian, so it's really taboo to speak about depression in the church and in the black community. So there's a double whammy here, you know, kind of working against me. And I've struggled with depression for, my oldest daughter is 10, although I think I was dealing with that pretty much throughout childhood. But I've dealt with depression. Basically, I was diagnosed with depression from the time I had my first daughter because I had postpartum depression, and most people, it usually just goes away. That wasn't my case, but as time went on, I was seeing a therapist, I was on medications, that kind of stuff, and I figured things were okay. But I find it very interesting that fall is really my favorite time of the year, but yet every single year around this time I just get really, really depressed. Like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be bothered. Like, if I could take this camera right now and show you guys my room, there are thick dark curtains up throughout my entire room. There's no sunlight coming in. This is a ring light you see here. There's no natural sunlight coming in, and I'll go days and not see sunlight. And I am very vitamin D deficient because of that as well. And it's just really, really interesting, you know, how something so simple as the sun and the lack of it, how it affects a person's mood. I am studying psychology right now, Christian psychology, and normally when people hear the word Christian, they always deem it as, you know, not relevant. Baby, the stuff that I've been learning in school is like, it really has helped in the way that I view things. It's just really interesting how taboo we have caused this, you know, to be in our community. And it's one of the reasons why I opted to study psychology when I went back to seminary, because I was going to just study theology. And I realized that dealing with something, you know, as serious as depression, I need to get a better understanding of it. And since I've been studying it, you know, I've been able to recognize signs and understand that, you know, as cliche as it may sound, it's okay to not be okay. And, you know, there are days, like especially when fall first rolls around, I get really, I don't know, like the whole summer I have a friend of mine, we talk on the phone every single day. I went almost a whole week and we didn't speak on the phone. And I just did not want to be social. I had no desire to be social at all. I didn't want to talk to anyone. You know, my kids would come in the room and I wouldn't chase them out because, you know, I've learned to stop doing that. But I didn't want to be around anybody. I just wanted to stay in my bed and do nothing. And I wanted permission to just wallow in my own misery. And I couldn't understand, like I would leave the house one day a week. I was extremely irritable. My appetite was up and down. I had lost so much weight. I struggle with weight gain. I know some people, when they get depressed, they eat a lot, and I'm the total opposite. I wish I ate a lot, but I'm the total opposite. And, you know, it's just really interesting how something as simple as the weather change can cause such a huge shift in a person's mood. And I am on medication for depression. I had some issues with my insurance, and I haven't been on my meds for a couple of weeks. So I think that's another reason why I was so triggered by the change of the season, because my hormones are all over the place. But it's just, I just wish that more people, especially in our communities, the Black community that is, I wish we didn't make it such a taboo, you know, spooky thing to talk about. I wish it was more normal, and this is why I'm very vocal about it on social media, because, you know, there's so many of us who deal with this thing silently, and we put on this mask and we think everything is okay, and we act like everything is okay because we have mastered how to wear this mask that says there's absolutely nothing wrong. If I just can smile for 8 hours while I'm at work, if I can just crack enough jokes to seem normal, then no one will notice. And the sad truth is, 9 times out of 10, no one notices. You know, no one really notices until, God forbid, you know, someone tries to injure themselves, you know, causes some type of self-harm. And it really, and even then, you know, I had someone say to me, someone very close to me, tell me, you know, they thought that I had a suicide attempt last year, and I had someone very close to me tell me they thought it was just me trying to get attention. And people don't understand that with the way depression is set up, you can go from cracking jokes to literally trying to crack your own neck in 2.5. Like, there's no in between. It is just I can't describe it, y'all. And it just hurts because you want to talk to people, but then you're afraid of judgment that will come along with opening up about something that's so taboo. Like, you know, oh, we say things like, oh, depression is a white person's thing. We don't get depressed. You know, we don't do that. Or, you know, for those of us who are who are heavily involved in churches, you know, that's just a demon. And while that may be true, I need Jesus and I need medication at the same time. Like, I just don't believe in trying to pray everything away. Like, of course, the word of God in 1 Thessalonians tells us to pray without ceasing. Absolutely. But at the same time, get medication while you're at it too. Like, you need something that is going to help stabilize your mind. You can't just come with the just pray it away and that's just that. Some people, it might just be some spiritual warfare and they may just need all-night prayer session. But for those who deal with this, like this is their reality every single day, it's just not that simple. And after, you know, experiencing this for so many years and having to be silent because you don't want to be labeled as the freak, you don't want to be ostracized, you don't want people to start pitying you. Like, I want to be treated normal, but I also want people to understand that when I'm dealing with this, first of all, give me my space. And, you know, I'm that type of person, when I get into these moods, I want space. But then I also understand that it's not always the best, because when you're in isolation is when your thoughts really start to take over. Like, my cousin came over the other day to get her hair done, and afterwards she's like, let's go to the movies, and I was just like, I don't want to go to movies. But she understood that I needed to get out of the house. Like, I had literally been in the house the entire week, cooped up in my room with no vitamin D, with no sunlight, with just, you know, just hair and darkness. And it was really bad because for those of you who don't know, I have five girls. 4 out of 5 are in school. The youngest is Symphony. She's I don't know how many months, y'all. She's 1. She'll be 2 in February. I don't got time to go through all the months. But she's 1. And I have practiced her to think that living in darkness was just so normal. Like, and I don't mean darkness like in the spiritual sense, like literally physical darkness. Like, once the girls, I usually get up at 6:15, and I get the girls ready for school. My mother-in-law takes them to school. They usually are out of the house by like 7:30, 7:40, the very latest. And then I close the doors, close all the windows, and I go back to sleep. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with going back to sleep. I know you guys probably think, well, you got 5 kids, you're probably tired. Yes, but I also am a business owner, and usually around this time of the year, my business takes a huge hit because mentally I just can't manage. So I have a website where I, of course, display my work, but I also have a blog. I haven't done a blog in a couple of weeks because I just have not been able to focus and feel, I just don't want to. Like, in my heart, I'm like, I need to get this done, but I just cannot. And it's like, I literally am forcing myself right now to do this video. I want y'all to know, I'm making sure I'm in focus. I am forcing myself to do this video because I vent a lot in my makeup group, because a lot of women in there deal with the same thing. And of course, when no one speaks about it, you feel weird, you feel like a freak. So I try my best to be very open and honest with them about my feelings, about what I'm dealing with. And it usually opens up the floor for dialogue, for other people to realize, oh snap, I'm not the only one that's dealing with this. And I mean, granted, no one wants to say, oh, I wish you were depressed like me, but it also helps to know I'm not the only one that's depressed. Does that make sense? So I've been asking for advice on things that I can do to keep my energy up, to just kind of help me get out of the funk, because I've been wanting to do a video for the longest time, but I just did not have the mental capacity to deal with it. Like, every time I would think I was going to do a video, and I thought about the fact that I had to set up equipment, I had to get my camera out, I had to make sure my camera was charged. Just the thought of getting things done, I was like, nope, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And I would turn everything off and I would go back to bed. I literally go right back to bed. And I told myself, you know, you can't keep doing this. Like, things are not getting done. Like, this is usually my really motivated time, where it's like at the home stretch. You know, we're getting ready to close the year out, and it's the last quarter, and you have your vision board or your goal list, and you're looking at all of the things that you have accomplished, the things that you want to accomplish, and you can't get it done. And at times I just feel so defeated, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I want to do this, but for whatever reason I can't. And you know, it's really hard, guys. It really, really is. And I'm just hoping that by opening up the dialogue and having this conversation, you know, it opens up the door for other people to not only be able to talk about it, you know, amongst themselves, but go seek professional help. Like, I am going through school right now. I just started my master's in Christian psychology actually last night. I was supposed to start a couple of weeks ago, but just was so unmotivated to the point where I was like, I don't even know if I want to go back. And then finances weren't adding up, and that made me more depressed. So when the opportunity presented itself, I said, you know what, you need to go. And oftentimes when I open up the dialogue on social media to talk about any type of mental illness or mental health, it really, you know, so many people are usually so shocked to know that I deal with it because of all that I do. And I'm just like, man, it's a lot. It really, really is. So I really just want y'all to understand that if you are dealing with it, there is nothing wrong with going and seeking professional help. One of my goals, once I finish my doctorate, I'll be done in 2021. Yes, y'all. Yes, I am so excited for that. My pastor does want me to think about getting my PhD when I'm done. So I was like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But that would just add on an additional year, because the school I go to is an accelerated program. So I'm going to highly think about it. I'm going to really take it into consideration, because if he believes in me, then why not? My goal once I finish my doctorate in 2021 is to start a practice for art therapy. Now, as I am sitting here and I'm talking to you guys and I'm playing in my makeup, it is very, very, very therapeutic. I understand that as a creative, we deal with depression the most because our minds are going constantly. Like, there's not a time I'm not thinking. Even in my sleep, I have ideas coming to me, so all the time, and it's really hard to just kind of shut it down. So my goal is to open up a practice where I give creatives an outlet to, you know, come and see a therapist, see professional help, see a psychologist. And of course, I'm a Christian psychologist, so we're going to intertwine that with the Word of God. But I believe that my makeup is also a ministry, and it's not just a ministry for others, it's also a ministry for myself. Like, being able to make someone feel how I envision myself feeling. Like, even when I'm depressed or when I don't feel like being bothered, I have to go to work. If I book a wedding, I can't just text them and say, hey, you know, I don't feel like it today. Like, I have to go. And I usually take that time. I usually don't do brows first, but I'm going to. It's like I take that time to really, like, my goal is to make whoever sits in my chair feel like the best version of themselves. And it's really interesting how this works, because it's usually at a time where I feel like the absolute worst version of myself. And all I keep thinking about is, when I'm done and I hand this lady this mirror, I need her to look into this reflection and I need her to smile. I need her to feel like the best she's ever felt. And I don't know how to describe it. And I put myself in that person's shoes, and even if it's just for a little while, I feel so good, y'all. To know that I have a gift that brings other people joy. You know, being someone who has to deal with this foolishness, and I still get to bring a smile to someone else's life. And it's just like beyond their face. It's like I get to transform the way a person feels, even if I'm not feeling my best. And in turn, because they feel good, now I feel good. Am I making sense? Like, it's just so, like, being in the beauty industry, mentally it's a lot, because the way a person feels is kind of laying right in your hands. So you either have the opportunity to make or break the way a person sees and feels about themselves. And, you know, like I just said, I keep to the forefront of my mind, if I was sitting in this chair, how would I want to feel? How would I want the artist who's all up in my personal space, you know, how would I want them to make me feel? Like, what are the kind of things that I would be expecting from, you know, that interaction? So even if I'm feeling my absolute worst, I try my best to keep the conversation, you know, jovial. Especially if I'm going to like a bridal party, I'll take my speaker with me and we'll rock out. And the whole time I'm feeling like utter crap. But by the end of that session, it's just so amazing how, y'all, by the end of that session, I feel so great, because seeing, you know, how you walk into a room and everyone is feeling a certain way and you were responsible for shifting the entire atmosphere. It is so, it's just like so remarkable. It's so unbelievable. And I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly at all. I really don't. And I think that's one of the things that I truly love about being in this industry. I think this industry has literally saved my life, y'all. I kid you not. I think that if I didn't have this to fall back on, you know, I probably would have lost my mind for real, for real. Like, I've been to psych wards, baby. And this is the one thing that when I sit down and I just have this time to myself, I want to give a shout out real quick to Alexandria, my Allie. She's my pastor's daughter. That's my little sis. And let me tell y'all, Allie is like, she came up to me Sunday and she just noticed that I just was not myself. I just haven't been myself. And she came to me and she said, I'm going to come and get Symphony from you this week. I'm off on Friday. I'm going to come and get her from you. And she was like, you need some time to yourself. And people don't understand how important that is. Like, I needed time to just sit and do nothing. And I know that some people that may seem like, you know, really far-fetched, because you have 5 whole kids, you are a whole wife, and you're a student, and at times it can be a lot. Like, I can't tell you the last time I've been in the house by myself. Like, I'm in the house by myself, y'all. I'm in the house by myself. Like, there's no one else here. And it's very rare that this happens. I can't tell you the last time it's ever happened. And I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly that right now I just get to be Anais. I don't have to be anybody's mom right now. Not to say that I don't love being a mom. Of course I love being a mom. But when you have all of these titles and you have to fulfill all of these roles, it is very easy to lose yourself and to get caught up in wife, mother, sister, friend, counselor. Like, it just never stops. And sometimes you stop and you think, who are you? Like, if you were to strip away all of these roles, what do you have left? Like, do you have peace? Do you have joy? And I was like, I have to recenter and really, you know, get to the place where I'm okay with just being Anais, so that when all of the other roles come along now, you know, it's not like, it's not the end all be all. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense, because a lot of times we just get so caught up in trying to outdo other people, and oh, well, I do more than you, and this is what I do, and here's my title, and here's my role, and here's what I, and we gloat in that, and there's nothing wrong with taking pride in that stuff. But I want that at the end of it, I have a mark here. I want that at the end of that outside of all of those titles and outside of all of the roles and all of that, that I'm just okay with being Anais. Like, I want everything else to be an addition. I don't want it to be the only thing that defines me. I want everything else to be a great addition in my life and not be, you know, just the blanket of my entire life. I really hope I'm making sense and I don't sound crazy, but it's really, really hard to do that when you don't have time to just stop. Like, I am very big on prayer, and I can't tell you the last time I've had an opportunity to just sit and hear from God, because I'm always on the go, and I feel so guilty because 6:15 I get up, get the girls ready for school, and then I usually would, of course, before this season came along and I started sleeping so much, you know, it was getting them ready. They're out the house by 6:15, and then, you know, I would be heading to work. Normally I'm like with Love and Hip Hop or some TV show, and I'm usually on set for 13 hours. By the time I get home now, my husband's getting ready for work. I'm trying to whip up something, and he goes to work at like 2:30 in the morning, so he's up and getting ready by 11:30 at night. You know, by that time I'm just getting home. I'm trying to make something really quick to eat, or, you know, eating leftovers that I had cooked from the day before, and I can't go to sleep yet because now he's tired because he's had to deal with the kids. So I gotta make sure he stays awake and doesn't fall asleep in the shower. Yes, you heard that right. He goes to sleep in the shower. He'll stand up and lean his head against that wall, honey, and be knocked out. And I have to make sure now he doesn't oversleep. By the time he leaves the house now, it's like 1:45, a little after 1 o'clock. And it just never ends. By that time now, it's like 2:30. He'll let me know he got to work. And I'm going to sleep now. And then I have to be up at 6:15 again. And I usually only get to go to sleep if Symphony decides she's going to be a good girl and let mama get some rest. 9 times out of 10, it's not how it works. It's not how any of this works. She doesn't really go to sleep. And I'm up until like maybe 2 o'clock or so, 2, 3 o'clock with her, you know, waiting for her to go to sleep. And it's tiring. And then I'm frustrated because I haven't had my quiet time with God. I haven't had the opportunity to really just sit and just be still and just hear from him. And it's a lot. It really is a lot. And I'm in a you know, my family is Caribbean, and a lot of times we have this misconception that once you have kids, you know, life is over. You know, I've had things said to me like, oh, when you have kids, you don't get breaks anymore. And I just never understood that at all. I just really never ever understood that. And one thing that I do understand too, especially because I've been dealing with depression for so long, is that I have to break the cycle. I really, really, really have to break the cycle. And I am learning to not feel guilty for wanting to take time for myself. And it's okay if I go to Rite Aid and take a walk to get absolutely nothing. Like, it is quite alright if I go just to go in the aisle and look at all of the cleaning products, smile about it, maybe post a snap, and go back home. That was my me time. Sometimes, you know, when I was up to it, during the summer, I would get up and I would take prayer walks where I would literally just put on my headphones with some worship music. I wouldn't take anybody with me because my brother and I normally do everything together. He's 21 and we do everything together. And, you know, I just would go by myself and I would just put on my worship music and I would just walk and I would talk to God and I would just pray. And, you know, those were the times that I really appreciated the most because it was just a time for me to just be. Like, I didn't have to, you know, be anything aside from Anais. I didn't have to fulfill anybody's request at that moment. It was just me and God. And I've noticed, like, when I have those little times, even if it's just an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes, it just helps to keep me centered and keep me balanced. And everyone needs that time to themselves. Everyone needs that time to themselves. I'm telling you, everyone needs that. Like, I sat down and I can't tell you, like I said earlier, I can't tell you the last time I just haven't been around people. And it's just really interesting because it's not healthy. Like, you need a time to just unwind. Like, even in the shower, I can't be by myself. Like, all of a sudden now, you know, everyone has to use the bathroom. Somebody needs to poop. You know, they're bringing cartons of juice in the bathroom. Like, can I get some juice? Like, it literally is just no time to just, like, usually, and I'm not ashamed to say it, my shower time is my time of release. I go in there and sometimes I just need a good cry. Like, I just need to go in there and just let it all out. And I can't do that at times because I don't get time to be alone. And you don't want to cry in front of your kids and, you know, make them alarmed or whatever the case is. So I'm always having to pretend to be so strong, and I don't want to be all the time. I don't want to be strong all the time. Like, I want to be able to be vulnerable during my prayer time and be able to cry and to be real with God. Like, yo, I'm tired. Like, I'm overwhelmed and I don't want to do this right now. Like, I just need some time. Like, I really want an opportunity to just be real. And when you don't have a lot of help, it's really hard to do that because you always have to wear this cape and you always have to be Superwoman. And I don't want to do that all the time. I want an opportunity to be weak, and, you know, I just want an opportunity to just be. Like, I don't want to have to put on this mask. I don't want to have to put on the front. Like, I want an opportunity where I can just be so vulnerable. And one thing I realize is because I'm not able to be vulnerable with God, I find it really hard to be vulnerable in my marriage. And, you know, it's hard because everyone needs that. Everyone needs that. Everyone needs an opportunity to just feel like a child. And I really don't know how to describe it, but everyone needs that. And at times I don't get that, and I get really angry about it because, you know, everyone thinks that, oh, Anais's goals and I would love to have your life. And I'm like, come get this. Like, come get this, sis. Because right now I don't want it. It just becomes really overwhelming. And don't get it twisted. I love my husband. I love my kids. I love what I do. I love the opportunities that God has given me. But I need a balance where I can unwind so I have time to reflect, that so I really, really love all that I have, if that makes sense. I really hope I'm making sense. Like, I just need an opportunity to just step back and be able to think, wow, here's all that I have. Here's all that I've accomplished. And I don't have that. And at times it can just be really, it's really hard, man. It really, really is really hard. So I want you all to be very intentional about about taking time for yourself, you know, recognizing signs. It's okay, you know, if you feel a little off, if something doesn't feel that right to you, find someone to talk to. You know, everyone needs someone that they can go to and talk to, and you know, it be their safe place. And if you don't have a friend like that, find a therapist. If you have insurance, Medicaid, whatever the case is, they have therapists, licensed therapists that are covered by your insurance companies. And I hate the fact that this is not promoted enough, especially in the Black community, because let me tell you, other races and ethnicities, they take advantage of all that their healthcare offers. But with us now, things are like so silent and hush hush, and once again, very taboo. And it shouldn't be. We should be able to have the same freedom to express whatever as the next person. And I don't want anyone to ever feel ashamed about it. Like, there's nothing to be ashamed about. Life happens, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Life. I had a friend who was like, you know, life just be lifing. And it's the truth. It literally just hits you. And if you're not careful, you'll end up very overwhelmed very fast. So you have to recognize when you're reaching that burnout stage, when depression is really just taking over, when your thoughts are now starting to consume you, or like with me now, with the seasons changing, and you know, something's not right, you don't feel like yourself. It's okay to feel that way and get help. It's not okay to feel that way and think, you know, it's not a big deal. Because I'm telling you, you can go from feeling like $1,000,000 to feeling like the scum beneath the earth in 2.5 seconds, and you don't understand why. And you got to get help, y'all. I want to break the stigma that only crazy people see therapists. That is not true. It's best that you see a therapist before you get crazy. Listen to what I tell you. And yes, although I am studying psychology, I need to see a therapist too. Like, I'm not exempt from that. Like, I'm not exempt from that at all. If anything else, I know better than to not go see a therapist. I'm just saying. Like, it's really hard to keep trying to put on fronts. Like, I genuinely want to be able to take off my mask and be free. And not feel like a weakling or like I failed. And a lot of times that's why many people that are around us don't say anything, or when they finally speak, it's when they're at their breaking point. And we can't keep doing this to people all the time. Like, we have to learn to listen, you know, and be mindful of the things we say. And if you don't know what to say, don't say anything at all. Like, sometimes your presence is just enough. Like, not that person who was going through and having someone around. Do you understand what your presence can do? Man, oh man, your presence can really literally talk someone off of a ledge. Your presence can mean the difference between I have someone to no one will notice if I'm gone anyway. And then next thing you know, you hear about a friend of yours or someone you know who's like jumping off of freeways, you know. Your presence just makes a difference. Check on people who are always, you know, joking, and check. Those are the ones you really need to check on. Those are the ones you really need to check on. Because 9 times out of 10, they're wearing a mask. And it's because we have just made it so uncomfortable for people to express themselves, that they feel like if I just joke around enough, you know, it'll blow over, and no one will really notice that I can't focus. My emotions are all over the place. You know, it's really crazy, really crazy. And that's one thing that I truly hope that I have the opportunity to do, is to allow people who look like me, and even those who don't, but especially those who look like me, give them a space where it's no judgment, where they can just open up and be free, and to speak about things that hurt, speak about things that they couldn't say to anyone else, and when they're done, they know I'm safe and there's no judgment, and that there's light at the end of the tunnel. you know, it's not just going to be a facade. There's actually going to be hope. And my ultimate goal at the end of that is to let people know that you can be saved and still need a therapist. Like, there is nothing wrong with loving God with your whole heart and needing help. There is nothing to be ashamed of about it. There is nothing to be ashamed of. And I think for a long time, that was something that I really struggled with, because it was like, how you going to let people know now that you done been in the psych ward, and you done did this and you done did that, and I kept quiet and I kept silent, and it was the craziest thing I could have done, because it worked against me, trying to be who I really wasn't. I wasn't 100% happy. I needed help, and trying to act like I was 1,000% okay, and it really did more harm than it did good. Because then now, when you start with the facade, it's basically a lie. And when you start with one lie, you got to tell another lie to keep up the first lie that you told. So now you're like 80 lies deep, and your anxiety is now kicking in, and all because you can't be yourself. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be this way. And I don't want anyone to ever think it's okay to have to lie to keep people around you. If you have people around you who are only around because they think, you know, you're healed, or they think that, you know, whatever, you don't need to be around those people. Like, you just don't. I don't know what color I want to do on my lips. I can't believe I actually did color on my eyes, because I have not done color in so long. Oh my god. But it does feel very good right now. It really does. I'm just gonna brighten up my inner corner a little bit. So I guess this could be like my contribution to like breast cancer awareness and domestic violence. I didn't realize I did pink and purple, so that worked out great. I don't know what color I'm gonna do on the lips. Let's see. Let's see. I don't think I want to stick with this. But I am going to use it as a base. So I think I'm going to go. So I'm just excited now to be able to use this platform to bring hope, you know, to bring hope and to create a platform for others to see that they're not alone in the struggle. You know, it's not something that you have to deal with by yourself. And I know sometimes our families can be, woo, you know, I get it. Trust me, I know. But there are people out there who understand. There are people who want to understand, even if they don't initially get it. There are people out there who want to understand what's going on inside of your head, you know. And it's important that we normalize that problems come a dime a dozen, and what may be so simple to you is a struggle for someone else, and not diminish or, you know, make that person feel insignificant because their struggle isn't as extravagant as yours. You know, something as simple as getting out of bed may be the quickest thing that you can do, but it's the hardest thing for me. And I want us to stop diminishing the struggles of others. I want us to stop normalizing toxic behaviors and help. Like, I saw someone post one time, if you can't help, then hush. You know, if you can't help someone, then the best thing you can do is just be quiet. Yeah, and there's just that. Just be quiet, because we have enough we just have enough right now. We have enough people struggling, enough people trying to make it through their everyday life and accomplishing what may be big for them, like getting out of bed. And the last thing we need, I know my hair needs to be done, and the last thing we need is for someone to say, well, why is that so hard for you? Or why isn't that the norm anyway? And it's a struggle. Everyone struggles differently, but we all struggle. And that's the common denominator, is that we all have a struggle. Your struggle may not be my struggle, you know, vice versa. And that's okay. What we do need is people around us who are going to be a help and not a hindrance. And we just need people to be authentic. You know, there's just too many people who are calling you friend for the sake of knowing just enough just to try to use it against you. And we have enough of that. We really, really do. We really do. We need real authentic people in our circles, and I really hope that you guys surround yourself with people who will be more of a help and not a hindrance. You know, find a therapist in this season if you are dealing with some type of depression, any type of mental illness, period. You know, whether it be bipolar disorder, whatever the case is. If you're dealing with grief, this is the time of the year where people really struggle with grief, especially if you've lost a loved one. You know, we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's coming up, and you don't have your loved one with you. I lost my favorite aunt in the entire world in April, and I think that was a turning point for me, because this year for me was really hard. These past 2 years, oh baby, they were so hard. And she was like my confidant, and she was one person that I could speak to, and there was no judgment. She would call me all types of goats, and we would just laugh, but at the end of our conversations I always felt so much better. And it's like the minute she passed, everything that could happen happened. I was just like, whoa, like what is happening here? And I would pick up the phone and call her, and I'm like, I can't call her anymore. And I realized now, either this thing is going to make you or it's going to break you, and you have to be in full control of that. And I sought help. I called up my insurance, and I was like, I need a therapist. I need to speak to someone. I need someone to help me. I cannot help myself anymore. I cannot do it. I can't. I tried to can, but I can't. And I'm not trying anymore, because it became a repetitive cycle, and I was getting nowhere. I just felt like a hamster on the wheel, and I was getting absolutely nowhere. I was running really fast and going nowhere. And I realized now, if I'm going to break this cycle, I really got to break it for real. And I have to do something that I never did before. In order to get what you've never gotten, you have to do something you've never done. And I went and I sat down with a therapist, and it was one of the greatest things I've ever done, because I was able to pour out, and there was no judgment. There was no judgment, y'all. Like, it just was so exhilarating. I can't explain it, y'all. It was a feeling, it's literally a feeling I can't describe. And it brought me a sense of peace. And I do take medication. I love the Lord, but I take my meds, okay? Also deal with manic depression. So when I have my outbursts, I'll pick up things and I'll throw them, and I'll just like leave the house and start walking. Then when I come to myself, I'm like, whoa, when did I get dressed? When did I leave the house? As a mom of 5 and already have been admitted to the psychiatric ward once, and the only time I ever planned to go there was last year, I was like, you got to take care of yourself. You have to take care of this. You got to take care of your mind. And I know for a fact that because I am so gifted, and because of the places that God wants to take me, I am going to be attacked here. Because once the enemy can control my mind, he can control everything else that follows. So I have to be so careful in, you know, how I allow things to affect me, and to recognize triggers, and either to avoid triggers or to talk it out. be real with it. I think that's a huge thing we all tend to struggle with. We don't want to seem weak, so the things that trigger us the most, we'll act as if it's not a big deal, and we'll keep placing ourselves in situations that trigger us in hopes of proving to other people, I got this. When you're finished with the event, now you go home and you're throwing stuff and you're pulling your hair out and you're cussing and you're carrying on. I am no longer putting myself in any situation where it is going to be a trigger. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to events. I'm not going to places. I'm not doing anything. I'm not being around certain people if it is going to be a trigger for me. I have to love myself enough to know you cannot handle this right now. Not to say I won't ever be able to handle it, but right now, you can't. And that's perfectly okay. And like I said, this year has been quite the struggle. I've lost people in death and in life. I've stopped speaking to people who mean the absolute world to me. And it's not because I hate anyone. It's because I love myself more. I'm just at a place right now where I am I'm trying my best to give myself the best self-love, because what happens is when you have this constant battle of the mind, there's a void there, and you start trying to fill this void everywhere else. And the crazy thing about that is the same way you give something or someone the power to give you something, you also give that thing or person the power to take it away from you. So now when that void is filled and everything seems to be all great, and then that thing, fades away, or that person decides, I don't need you anymore. Now the void needs to be filled again. And I'm realizing now, if I am 100% happy with Anais, if I am okay with being myself, if I'm okay with loving me unconditionally and giving myself all the things that I need and doing the things that I love the most, no one can take that away from me. Anything else that comes along should be an added benefit. It should be an asset and not a liability. Hello, I am not going into 2020 with this same way of thinking. Like last week at my church, we had our 42nd annual convention, and our theme was we will prosper, and our scripture was Psalms 1:1-3. And let me tell you, people, when they hear the word prosperity, the first thing they think about is money and houses and cars. And when I heard the theme, the first thing I thought about was my health. And not only my physical health, but my spiritual and especially my mental health. And that was one thing I was like, God, if you do nothing else, I need you to heal my mind. I need you to heal my spirit. I need you to heal my heart. I need you to heal my body, because I also have hypertension along with the depression and anxiety. And I can't go into a new year. I'm not saying now that, it's impossible, for my hypertension to just go away. If God sees to heal me that way, then hey. But if he helps me to make the better choices, like, I had to be mindful of the things that I was doing. Of course, we keep asking God for things and for him to heal us of certain things, but we don't do our part, and then we wonder why we can't see the miracle. And I cut out meat, and my blood pressure was really, really good. And then I slipped back in a little chicken, and then my blood pressure started to elevate again. So I was just like, if you want to be healed, you have to do some work too. And this is where I'm trying to train myself to think it's not going to fall in your lap. You have to do some work. You got to roll your sleeves and you have to get dirty. Like, you have to do some work. And I am making it a habit of recognizing that self-care is beyond bath bombs and days at the spa. Although those are great too, it's so much more than that. And it's making decisions to love myself. It's making decisions to say, today you're not going to lay in bed, get up and go take a walk. Or something as simple as leave those dishes in the sink and go catch a movie. Like, I think I get caught up into this whole I have to be perfect all the time, and my house must always be spotless. Ma'am, you got 5 kids. How is your house always going to be spotless? Like, it's just, I'm learning to make more realistic goals with myself and do the things that I can, and the things I can't do, wipe my hands clean of it. Wash my hands clean of it. Like, I can't keep burning out myself trying to live to this facade, because then what happens as a creative is that when we have these million and one ideas going on in our head, we can accomplish all but one. And the one thing we didn't accomplish, we feel like a failure. Forget about the 999,000, you know, that one thing. And we feel like a total failure because of it. And I'm learning now, if you manage to get out of bed, get in the shower, and brush your teeth, girl, you winning today. You are winning all the way today, honey. And if you get outside and get some vitamin D, oh, what? Oh, you're double winning. Oh, yeah, that's it. And it's baby steps, because last week, I went a whole week. You know, I went to church last week. Prior to that, I went a whole 5 days and did not see sunlight again until I went back to church on Sunday. And for me to get up every day last week, get dressed, do makeup, and have my hair cute, and go to church from Sunday to Sunday. I went outside every day last week. That was a huge accomplishment for me, especially because this week I just didn't feel up to it. So I didn't beat myself up too much. I gave myself some time to just be very lazy in a sense, because I was a little tired. And you know, but I do realize if I keep myself in a cycle, then it will never be broken. So here I am now with my face done. I'm not going anywhere besides to Instagram, but I did it, and that's a huge accomplishment for me. Like, I did it because I wanted to and not because I had to. Last week, of course, now I was going to church, I had to look like something. But today, that's not the case. I literally have nowhere to go. There is no one home, and I'll probably just take a walk to the supermarket and just grab, you know, run a couple of errands just to get out and be by myself. That is an accomplishment, and I'm learning not to forsake the little things and, you know, act like if I didn't write a book in one day, or, you know, if I didn't, I don't know, do something outrageous, then, you know, it's not an accomplishment. No, this is a huge accomplishment for me, and I am going to fight depression. I'm going to fight seasonal affective disorder. I'm going to overcome whatever it is that stands in my way, because I have too much to get done. And I'm going to do that with the help and by the grace of God and a therapist and some good old medication, honey. Hello. That medication be lit, honey. Let me tell you. I'm not addicted to it, but I can feel the difference when I take it. Like, it helps. It helps. It really does help. Don't feel like you're crazy because now you're on prescription medications for dealing with this thing. So what? So what? Do it and pray. Take your medication and pray. Take your multivitamins and pray. If you don't believe in prayer, center energy, whatever it is y'all say. Do whatever it is you have to do to keep your mind in perfect peace. Like, that is the ultimate goal. Because a lot of times we get so caught up in, I gotta get rich, I gotta do this, and I gotta do things that, you know, that other people will validate as success. What do you define as success? Like, stop for a moment. Outside of physical things, what do you define as success? And for me, true success is prospering in my health, because that is something I've been battling for a long time. And I say that because what is the sense of becoming a millionaire and I'm on a deathbed, I'm on a sick bed, I can't really enjoy the fruit of my labor? What is the point? So I don't take my health for granted anymore, my physical or my mental health for granted anymore. And I'm going to try to make time, not try to, I am vowing to make time for myself, even if it is just 10 to 20 minutes every single day. Whether I just take a walk or lock myself in the bathroom, you know, like, you know, be realistic with this stuff, but do something that is going to, and you're at the end of it, feel accomplished. You know, if you do something every day that you know you could have done all the time and it's not a big deal, but if you can do that one thing every day that will truly make you stand in the mirror and say you did that, that's an accomplishment. That is the beginning of your success. So don't take it lightly. God has great things in store for you. I promise you He does. But love yourself. Take the time that you need for yourself. and get it done. Don't stop. You know, just get it done. Try your best. And the days that you don't get it done, don't beat yourself up over it. You know, try again tomorrow. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I feel so much lighter being able to talk, and because there's no one in the room, it's just a camera, and you know, I feel much better. That's all you need to know. But I will leave a full list of items that I used in the description box. Again, huge thank you to Shinkah Beauty. You can check out her website, shinkahbeauty.com, for sending me a plethora of items that I was able to use in today's video. Thank you to all of my group members who, you know, made this an option for me to be able to release. I truly appreciate your suggestion. It has definitely helped, and I would love to hear your feedback. If you're dealing with this or you know someone who is, sound off in the comments and let's just talk about it. So I will catch you all in my next video. Bye.